So many good questions in this discussion about our first chapter, early Christian art. I wanted to respond to Jasmine's sort of more widely and using some visuals as help, because she's coming at a very important point. She says here, okay, I'm a little confused about who Constantine is, and if he came before or after Galerius. Did Constantine eliminate Galerius, claiming Thessaloniki as his? This is great. Thank you. Many people are thanking you, Jasmine, right now as they watch this video for bringing this up. It's great that Jasmine's question is tied directly to a piece of the text. That's a very skillful way to be building your knowledge. And she's tying it to this part of the text where we're now in Imperial Roman art, and we've got these other capitals besides Rome, Ravenna and Thessaloniki. And the textbook is incredibly dense here, and it's assuming prior knowledge that you probably don't have. The history of Thessaloniki in present-day Greece as an imperial capital dates back even earlier to the reorganization of Roman imperial government under Diocletian. So your head is probably swimming here, because you've started the textbook at chapter 7. Chapter 1 of the textbook goes all the way back to the first art, cave paintings, very ancient chipped rock formations. And then it continues the story as people settle into agriculture, start to live in cities, and you get the art of the ancient Near East, today's Iraq and Iran, and then eventually the Roman Empire, right? And so you're coming in the middle of a story that's already got a lot going on. Let me see if I can clarify just at least this part about the reorganization of Roman imperial government under Diocletian. So there's Diocletian. Hello, Diocletian. There's his portrait. He's wearing a wreath, a symbol of victory. And it says, this is a slide I use when I teach the class on the prehistoric to ancient art. And I use this slide to explain that he's incredibly important in that he's restoring order in Rome. Because prior to Diocletian, Rome was in a terrible state of about 100 years of civil war and constant political assassinations. Whereas the early important major emperors, Port Augustus, the most famous, had been famous for a kind of imperial power that was called a Pax Romana, a Roman peace. That peace broke apart. And the succession of emperors became a problem as people like this very paranoid, dark-looking emperor are actually assassinating each other. There was no longer a peaceful succession of one emperor to the next. So the 200s are basically civil war and anarchy, and Diocletian manages to pull it together because the Roman Empire had splintered apart. Part of the problem was it was so huge that it was difficult to manage. And Diocletian's solution was going to be a rule of 4. Tetrarchy means ruled by 4. So there are going to be 4 rulers working together, and there are going to be 4 capitals. There will be 2 in the east and 2 in the west. Rome will not be the capital. And this is a way to manage the borders, as there are problems at the borders, skirmishes with immigrating groups referred to as barbarians that we'll be looking at next. And what this means is that you're going to have a system where 2 of the rulers are called Augustus, and they're kind of the senior emperors, and 2 are called Caesar, which is just a little bit less of a grand title, and they're kind of the junior emperors. And the idea is the Augustuses will prepare the Caesars to be the next ruler so that you won't have wars of succession, right? So Diocletian himself had taken the title Augustus, which was thinking back to this grand emperor that was the most revered emperor of all. It's sort of like, I would compare him to, Abraham Lincoln in the history of the United States, right? Kind of the one who's most looked up to. And then the Caesars will take care of the learning the ropes, as it were, to become an Augustus. This worked out okay, but not that great. So Galerius was Diocletian's son-in-law, and he was the junior emperor, the Caesar, under Diocletian, when he was supposed to step in to the next role. But things didn't go that smoothly. I want to keep it simple, not get bogged down in details, but basically there is a battle for succession, and now there's actually 4 roles in play, and there's who's going to be the next Augustus, who's going to be the next Caesars, and actually now there's also a desire to become once again the sole emperor. And the one who manages to win that in the series of battles is Constantine, known as Constantine the Great, because he becomes once again the sole emperor of a reunified Roman Empire. And he is, of course, a towering figure from the standpoint of Christianity, because he issues his Edict of Milan, which allows the practice of all different religions. So this will be a turning point in the fortunes of Christianity. But the fact that there had been those other capitals will continue to be important going forward. So he will make this critically important region, this geographically important region, now known as Istanbul, he will make this his capital, named after himself, Constantinople. But these other capitals, Thessaloniki, Trier, will also remain important, and so will Ravenna, which you can't really see on this particular map, but you will soon see it playing an important role. And essentially, know that this place was once known before the Romans as Byzantium, because it's going to be the center of our next module.